Go to these public markets you're talking about. They're the only people that are achieving in this. But then you're bringing an issue of justice that does not come to our real senses today, panel.
The team up is claiming that we are making these people unemployed. But in our past speech, we had to tell you that we are creating more markets, and we believe in these markets, these people can carry out trade. And
the world is supporting the neglect of street vendors doing business in town where there is market scope, and the development is going to come out because they are not going to have a place where they're going to earn a living.
So we as team proposition, we entirely disagree with the argument from team opposition. They tell us about promoting humanity. Which humanity are you promoting when you cannot provide a safer, a cleaner, and a place that can prevent accidents?
This house supports labor exploitation as a primary export industry for African countries.
So what if these foreign countries decide that they do not need our labor, and we have made this one our primary industry? Where are our people going to be employed?
Our answer to the question that why should we make labor exploitation a primary industry for African countries is answered by the kind of context my first speaker illustrates.
You still do not have enough labor. And then, we as team government, we are here to with a solution that is going to be able to solve the problem we have in society.
Are unable to access those public markets. For instance, someone from Nasala cannot move to Wandagea to a public market, but those street vendors are bringing that service and delivering that service to the very person. That makes our work easy. That makes those people gain money on how they shall sustain on. That is why Team Negate, as we stand on ground and say there shall be humanity in our work. There shall be the love for our own country. There shall be the love for our own people. Because if you don't love your country, if you don't love your people, then you don't love your country.
The team up is claiming that we are making these people unemployed. But in our past speech, we had to tell you that we are creating more markets, and we believe in these markets, these people can carry out trade, and we are not making them unemployed. More secondly, another thing, you've got to understand that we have agriculture sector, and we have land in Uganda, we have land in Africa. These people can spend in agriculture. After all, agriculture can earn them more income other than doing street vending. So, we believe this one will not affect them. No, yes, Paulo, they are claiming that these people pay taxes, but they have got to understand in our first speech, we don't need that we want to create fairness and justice, because we have faced a challenge whereby these people who hold shops, they fail to pay taxes because they claim that these street vendors are taking away their money, these tax vendors are taking away their customers, so they are not raising money for them to pay taxes. And we believe these people who hold shops are the ones that contribute more tax other than these street vendors.
Team Negator, team opposition, team farmers come here standing and they expect us what is the problem that we are mainly inclined into today's resolution. A main problem we as team opposition, we have claimed that it is the humanity and development being lacked if we are abolishing the street vendors. We are also claiming that we are claiming the problem of failure to eradicate poverty. So that's why we have even gave out our points. First of all, they are claiming that people who are having businesses in buildings are paying taxes. But we are in this world, we are even seeing that street vendors are buying products which are being imposed with taxes because the fuel has been imposed with taxes, and this has led to increase the prices of commodities. It means taxes are still being paid on the commodities they are selling, so they are also paying taxes. So it doesn't mean like they are not paying taxes; they are also paying taxes. They are also claiming that there is going to be over competition because they are overshadowing the other world. So it means that in this case, if they are telling there is going to be competition, competition is good because for us to have an innovative world, we must have competition so that people can develop new ideas so as to win the world.
We are debating a debate of urban centers. We show them that also street vendors contribute 60% of the taxes from this trade, but then they do not really want to realize that into today's debate. So we think for that we win today's debate. They do not put into consideration the point of humanity and then maybe creating an employment for the people. They rather create markets which we have showed them that are not going to work out into today's debate. So for that we think we win today's debate because they have failed. Panel markets have already failed to work. We are seeing central markets in urban centers, but then why do you think these street vendors still come? We have told them that then the sanitation is going to be managed by, is not caused by street vendors, but then other issues we are seeing, other people also come poor sanitation. So it should not be the case into today's debate panel.
We as team proposition, we entirely disagree with the argument from team opposition. They tell us about promoting humanity. Which humanity are you promoting when you cannot provide a safer, a cleaner, and a place that can prevent accidents? These people, panel, that sell on the streets are faced with accidents, panel. They are knocked down by cars accidentally, not because they don't have a place. And that is why we told you that instead of allowing them to sell on the streets, we are setting up a market for them where they can all be. They are saying that the central market didn't work. Why? Because the street vendors have taken their place. They do not allow them to have customers. By putting all of them in a market is providing a broader area for everyone to earn. We are not promoting realization. We have told you that we want our entire economy to develop. We want to grow as a country. They only focus on people. They are not focusing on us as a country. Panel, we are recognized as one of the most dirty countries in the entire world. If you give these vendors who throw rotten stuff and food and all that stuff on roads, but how are we going to improve on our hygiene? And that is why we say this motion still stands. But they're telling us about unemployment, but we are promoting one because we are giving them a market and agriculture where they can be able to have a living and then to submit.
The simple deliberations to the same with the other judges in the other room. In just 5 minutes or 6, by 40 we shall be through with the deliberation and we shall break to finals. May the best teams win.
In Africa, when we basically analyze the way African countries look like, these are countries that have been able to educate different people in different sectors, but guess what? It is still stated in status that there are very high percentages of people who have the education, they have the qualifications, but guess what? They still do not have enough labor. And then, we as team government, we are here with a solution that is going to be able to solve the problem we have in society. Panel, we believe labor exploitation should become a primary export industry of its own in African countries. Panel, additionally, it has been noted that African countries have rapidly increased populations that necessitate export to fields where they can be employed and later repatriate profits and savings. Panel, we look at the current situation whereby the country itself should be benefiting, and then the people who are basically going to be employed in different states should be given their whatever they need in society.
Panel, we as Team Up, we come on board and tell you that yes, we do accept let labor exploitation be there, but making it a primary export industry, no, we disagree. Why? We disagree because PROP is opting for a world where people are sold indirectly as goods, let's say oil, mineral, but we don't agree with that. For us, we take a world where we promote a principle of autonomy and choice, because these people have a right to decide for themselves. They have choices, and yet we see that many of them can refuse to go there. Since we see that currently we receive very many complaints from countries where Ugandans go that they reach there and they fail to come. You might come on board here, as you have come on board and tell us that you're going to do trade agreements. Yes, trade agreements happen, but we don't also trust the contracts that they do, that they sign, because these contracts can again be renewed. If someone sees that he or she is comfortable, he or she can renew the contract, and that means that he or she has more time there. And we see that drains Africa, because we as African countries, when we transport most of the labor, when we export it to other countries, that means we are exporting the best labor to other countries and leaving the chaff labor for Africans. That means that as we export the best labor, that means they'll keep on producing best products. And as we remain with chaff labor, that means we will also produce chaff products. They came on board and told us that they get remittances. Yes, remittances come, but there is a shame families, they don't build industries, they don't build hospitals. And we come about and tell you that these remittances that do come, they again go back because we transport the best doctors to other countries. That means that if you fall sick, you have to move and go look for the best doctor in other countries. That means that the remittances that are brought, they are going to be transported and are taken back. That's why we as Team Pro, as EO, we come on board and tell you that we should not make labor exploitation and the primary export industry. Yes, we are not, as we have told you, I will echo, we are not against labor exploitation, but we are against making it the primary export industry. Because when you say that if you are making it a primary export industry, that means you are transporting the bigger part. You're exporting it to other countries.
Our answer to the question that why should we make labor exploitation a primary industry for African countries is answered by the kind of context my first speaker illustrates. He tells you that African countries are ones that have rapidly increasing population, which majority of it is employed in the informal sector and the rest is unemployed. That therefore means that this kind of labor in the informal sector is what is going to be sent to the overseas to be employed there. That therefore means opposition's worry is like brain drain, whereby we are going to be sending doctors, of which we are not going to be even exporting, because Uganda is not among the countries known to be exporting any of the best professionals. We are not exporting the best doctors, we are not producing the best teachers. It's other countries that are doing that. That therefore means there are very few countries that are overseas that are going to be interested in hiring people in those professions. And again, current things explain our argument. Currently, many of unemployed Ugandans are flown to the UAE to be housemaids there, to be casual laborers. That is something that is going to continue with these people that are employed in the informal sector. Professionals are going to be remaining home to solve home issues because they are people that are very less, I'll engage later. They are people that are very less deplorable in the outside world, but deplorable in our own countries. That therefore means this kind of making labor exploitation a primary industry in African industries is going to be effective, because we have seen that market for this kind of informal labor is already existent in those areas where you want to push these people. If I can, I want to establish a clash on what opposition pushes into the House. They tell us that fields like agriculture and export of goods are things that are enough for our economies to thrive. But that is a lie, because what we export, the oil we export, it is other countries that profit most from it. The coffee we export, it is other countries like Italy that profit most from it. But what is that one thing we export and profit a lot from it? It is this kind of labor. It is in common knowledge that an informal laborer in the UAE earns a local salary, that it is a professional in Uganda who receives it. That therefore means exporting our youth to those overseas is something that is going to expand their value, because we even believe labor demand is already there and value is already there. That therefore means establishing this as a primary export industry is something that is going to garner us insane profits.
We are seeing team proposition coming on board and telling us things like they're going to sign contracts, that will force these people, when they are done, come back into the country. Pando, it is in the law of work. If I am okay with where I'm working and my boss is okay with me, I have every right to renew my contract. So I do not trust the idea of bringing them back to Uganda or to any other African country. Yes, our point still stands on brain drain. This is a brain drain to us. Why? Because I may send an engineer from Uganda. What happens? There are some things that you cannot avoid. For example, death. What if this person dies in America? Why will he come to Uganda to build a hospital? How will he come to Uganda to build a bridge? And that is something that you cannot accept. They are rotating on their argument that is remittances, that this percent back remittances that help to improve the economy. On our side, that does not work. If you export the best doctor to the American hospital, if you suffer from a liver failure and you do not have one to Uganda, you are taking back that very money they sent for you to get treated, and that means that you are improving their country and in their world. That is not, and that's what they are telling us in their world. Pando, we are giving out the very best. You cannot tell them that there is not quality abroad work there. And in the process, they are leaving us the worst. They are leaving us with a chaff, and chaff things bring out chaff results. Poor quality brings out the poorest quality, and that is
doctor. People are dying every day and day, and that is why we refuse making it a primary export industry. But instead of exporting our humans and not protecting them, let us do value addition. A sack of coffee that I export and I send back Nescafe with an expensive price, let me add value right here in Africa so that I can be able to improve the economy. In the name of setting up industries to process coffee, we are solving the problem of unemployment, which they are raising on board. And that is why we believe that team opposition deserves to win this motion.
This House supports labor exploitation as a primary export industry for African countries. Finally, in the first place, we are looking at a certain problem that is in status quo. Why are we supporting this exploitation of these individuals? Why? Because there's unemployment in the first place. From my first speaker, we tell you that in Uganda or in different African countries, we are looking at countries that actually are developing in the first place. Even when they're developing and people actually go to school, we are looking at this world, actually people asking for 10 years experience. We are looking at a way we are going to solve the problem of unemployment in the first place. Now, they also come and tell us that we could maybe take a secondary way or a secondary key factor. But in the first place, they don't give us another alternative. They don't give us anything that they're going to give that is going to actually solve unemployment in the African countries, but they instead just tell us exactly how it's going to be bad, how it's going to be a demerit. But this is what we are looking for. We are looking for a side that is actually going to give us exactly what unemployment is going to be solved by. Not just talking about how people are going to be suffering, or how people are going to be actually broken by their families. Not allowed. Now, in this particular debate, we gave you a particular framework of how individuals are going to be improved. The type of policies you're looking at, we actually, if you look at the long term, for example, Uganda, if you look at the long term exploitation, we actually did have a way where our government was actually involved in this particular exploitation of these certain individuals. But instead, we are telling you it is a primary key factor because government is actually putting this. Where we're actually going to be solving these certain problems, where we give you framework of these individuals actually acquiring trade, having trade agreements between these countries that are going to be exported to and giving funds and passports in the first place. Even when they tell us that there is a that people are actually mistreated and all that, there is actually a possibility. Not even a possibility, but we actually know that government is actually going to continue on with monitoring the fact that if they are okay or not. Even when they tell us that people have been suffering, we're telling you that that time government wasn't willing. People went out illegally. We are talking about a particular policy where people actually in government are pushing for this kind of advocacy. So, in our debate, we debate the urgency of what we need. We need people. We tell you that we're not basing on the best doctors. We're looking at these particular people who are actually not having employment. We're looking at a person who actually earns under $1 per day. We're looking at a person who actually has a family behind it. A person who actually hasn't maybe acquired education in the first place, but this person is actually going to go out and actually get a certain amount of money to send back to their families. And also, we are telling you that at the end of the day, how this particular country that has exported these individuals, we're getting 50% of what they're actually getting as their salary, another 50% of what they're getting that will be theirs. And at the end of the day, this is the way how we're actually going to be developing our country. Not having anything like a torture or whatever they talk about. And even this torture that they're talking about, we can actually minimize that by exporting our particular individuals in different other countries. They're talking about those certain incidents actually happen in Arabic countries and what we can actually divert it and actually take them to other European countries where they actually can get away. They're actually going to be not tortured, they're actually going to be immersed in this particular society.
We actually tell you that in their world, they are not going to develop us, they are not going to lead to sustainable development of our country. I would like to see ourselves developing because they argue that they need development, they argue that they need to solve the problem of unemployment. But we have told you that development can never be there because these remittances are going to be taken back because these remittances are going to be taken back and also these people are not going to withstand with these funds because they are going to take back the same funds. Panel, we are going to understand that we do not need to train our people. We do not need to sell our because economic growth is running us. Because we need economic growth. We do not need to sell our people as slaves. By accepting this panel, you are going to make people become slaves indirectly. We are bringing back an idea of them becoming slaves, and we would like to see ourselves developing ourselves independently. Panel, if you have to judge this debate, I beg you judge this debate on which side is promoting human dignity, which side is creating sustainable economic growth, which side is going to give us a long-term development of our country. As I have already told you, panel, we are going to increase dependency. We are going to depend more on these foreign countries because we are giving them the best labor that will work for them, and then leaving Africa undeveloped, leaving Africa lacking workers to work in their sector.
We have told you that for us to have to solve the problem of unemployment, which they are telling us, we should set up industries and do value addition. I beg to submit.
You still have a minute.
I believe we should do value addition instead of exporting our own people. Failing to protect our own people is our own problem. And we have told you, what if these countries no longer want our labor and it is our primary export industry? What will happen? Shall we develop? We will need sustainable development, something that is going to give us a long-term impact in today's resolution. And that is why we believe, instead of exporting a sack of coffee, let us process it right down here in Uganda, right down here in Africa, so that we can get the best result and solve the problem of employment by giving employment to those people that are out there to go and work in the agriculture sector, to go and work in the coffee factories, instead of exporting our own people. We need to protect our people. We cannot go back to slavery. We cannot go back to suffering. We need to keep ourselves bonded together socially, not breaking our families. We are doing a brain drain, and this is not good for Africa. I beg to submit.
From our side of the house, we achieve sustainable economic growth. Machas opposition argue that they also achieve the same. I think it is our side that engages most on how making it a primary export industry is going to be stands more chances of achieving this than theirs. Because all the things they try to talk about, we have already countered them by telling them that things like tourism, things like agriculture and fourth can be need things like capital to propel them to where we need them to be. And that is something we currently do not have, but at least we have labor that we can send to strive for that capital, get back and invest in those fields, and why that equals to more sustainable growth of our economies that is possible from this ground where we are.
And the powers invested in me as the CA for this tournament, the National Debate for Peace Secondary Schools 2026. I'm going to read who wins, and then we shall create space for the first runners-up or for the runners-up to come over, pick their medals and their trophy, and then we later award the winners. We understand? I would kindly request the guest of honor to step over after I've read and hand over the trophies and the medals. And on a split ballot of a 4-3, the judges agree that the team that wins the debate or that wins the National Peace Schools Championship 2026 is the team that debates on the affirmative. Congratulations, Team Tunisia, for winning the debate. Let's have the team that debated on the negative to come for their medals.
Mosa, Misa, Maso, Keisha. At least, Keisha. Keisha, come very quickly for your award. Thank you so much. This is, wow, beautiful. Mutevi, Abdurrahim. Hey, why is Mutevi? You're the, wow. Congratulations, Mutevi. And yes, congratulations. Isorit Jemima Odongo. Isirioriti Jemima Odong. Isirioriti. Young girls, we have written you in the books of record of these secondary schools that you were once or and you reached on the finals. We officially DJ Marafaya. Yes. DJ for us, there are other songs we like now. Yes, congratulations. Okay, yes. Yo. Stand up for the champions. You follow the champions. Wow. Everybody standing. Congratulations, Mr. Sachet. Yes! This is a record. We have got the first trophy of the national. Yeah. Congratulations, ladies and gentlemen. Congratulations, onwards. Congratulations. Yes.
So, team affirmative and team negative, well done. So this is a showcase of the power of ideas. This competition is more than an event. It's a platform where young voices rise to shape the future of our nation and our world. Because at the end of the day, you're starting your future now. This debate starts your future. You never know where you'll be. Tomorrow, you might be the MP somewhere. You might be that debater somewhere. I've seen some of our team members from onwards, go all the way to Nairobi, Kenya, for debate. And that's what it means to be a debater. Okay? So it starts today, it starts here in Nama, and it ends globally. Okay? You never know where to go. So when you reflect on the change, on the theme chosen is both timely and inspiring. Uganda's great resource is not oil, is not land, is not gold, like someone was baiting here. Okay? It is not that. It's actually also in my speech. It's not that. Okay? It is the what? The young people that we have in this country. That's the greatest resource we have. So you are the innovators, the dreamers, and the leaders of tomorrow. As you can imagine, even now the new curriculum is actually grooming you to be innovators, to be the dreamers, to be the leaders of tomorrow. I take the honor to thank our donors who funded this process, this activity, the dance. They are not here, but I hope the video will get to them to appreciate them for funding this activity. There is a lot we can do as a team, but everything we need to do requires resources. And so we don't take it for granted that we brought 12 schools here. It's because of the donors that we have that were able to fund us this activity. So we really thank the Lanson Foundation. And of course thank the Nama High School for hosting us. Thank you so much. I'm sure I heard the Chief Judge saying she had a very good email. So that's a sign that you are good for